This is why you will always find me up on my soapbox talking about animation as a medium, not a genre. And by golly, are the ones that come out of nowhere just certainly the best.
Do you have any human prostitutes?
Nothing but synthetics, but we do consider ourselves 100% human. Wouldn't you agree, sir?
I don't jailbreak the androids. I set them free.
Hey! You human? Human or robot?
Aline, I'm coming.
And today we have a very pleasant surprise, might I add, Mars Express. I'm not gonna lie, for me, this film came out of absolutely nowhere. First, friends, my fellow cinephiles, the peoples in my group, telling me like, hey, have you heard of Mars Express? This is a rare, pleasant occasion. I can sit there and be like, no, I haven't. How long ago did it come out? And they're like, no, it's coming out soon. Somebody heard of a movie before I did? I'm losing my edge. No sooner did my friends tell me about it than my local art house cinema played the trailer a couple times. And then, to boot, we saw that it was actually getting a fairly national release. As soon as I heard about it, saw the trailer, like you, I'm sure, if your tastes are aligned with mine, I've seen all I need to see. This aesthetic is 100% up my alley. I love to see what people do with animation, how they push the bounds of it, what narratives they want to tell with it, so let's go check it out. What I didn't realize, because we went to go see this and it was all in English, but there was like a French director and French names of actors, and I was sitting there like, uh-oh, we're seeing the dubbed right now, not the sub. As always, for those that don't know, dubbed means that you're watching a foreign film that is not in your native tongue, that's been dubbed in your native tongue.
Not one prostitute is human.
Yeah, I guess the guy was wrong.
And subbed is whatever the source material is. It's their native language, but you're getting your subtitles.
C'est ma fille, June. Elle a disparu et sa camarade de chambre aussi.
Typically, I prefer subbed because I want to get as close as I can to the original, unpasteurized experience. But if a dub is a good dub, like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
I guess I was mistaken. I thought the science of alchemy was abhorrent in the eyes of his father, the one you believe to be the creator of all things.
Studio Ghibli films.
Haku told me to come here and ask you for work. Could you give me a job, please?
If a dub is good, I'll still watch a dub. Long and the short of it is technically a French animated film, but we saw it dubbed over in English. So Mars Express is the directorial debut of now I can do this the American way or the French way. I'm going to try the French way, but it's directed by a Jeremy Perrin. I mean, you could just say Jeremy Perrin. I don't know why, Mr. Perrin. This is his first feature film. But however, IMDb shows that he's been working in animation since at least 2001. It's basically him taking all of his prowess and just consolidating, putting it all to the ultimate cinematic test. I want to give credit where credit's due to an extent. I'll bring up the French cast on screen. I'm not going to delve too much into them or their backgrounds because I feel like I would do it a disservice. At the very least, I want to say here's the original voice cast. In any case, I'm going to go over what I heard personally, which was the American voice cast. Now granted, this movie has a lot of characters in it, but there are two primary ones that, you can see them on a couple of them on the poster. We have Maria Gorondona, who plays the main detective. She has a ton of experience, including, and here's where I get excited, though she has done animated series and films like this one, case in point, most of her prowess and her work is done in the world of gaming, which is definitely where I come into play. And then, you probably know this name, I didn't put two and two together until after I got out of the theater and did my research. Arguably, the secondary protagonist, her partner in this, is Josh Keaton. Damn near 300 total credits on IMDb, but the most notable ones, I shit you not, young Hercules in Disney's Hercules, as well as, and this means a lot to me because I'm finally just now playing through the game, so you can also find them on my channel, but Revolver Ocelot from Metal Gear Solid 3. Anyway, Mars Express, I know what you're thinking, and this makes me excited. This is a primo opportunity. You're like, what the hell is this? MovieMan, what's going on here? I didn't know either. Set in the 23rd century on Mars. But it's just a cyberpunk, Blade Runner, detective. I want to go as far as to say noir. It's definitely just like a science fiction, cyberpunk detective thriller, kind of horror in a way, but takes place in a future far from ours. There's a weird, violent, mysterious sci-fi crime that occurs. And so a human detective and her AI cybernetic partner are tasked with trying to figure out what's going on, find the killer or killers, and then as they, start digging, turns out it's much more than a shallow pool. There's a whole iceberg here, and possibly corporate intrigue and different layers of espionage and threats of violence and corporate shenanigans and just, we've seen this plot before in a plethora of both classic and modern science fiction films. It's your stereotypical dystopian society where things aren't quite as perfect as the commercial organizations make them out to be, and then boom, you have your headings. So literally, if you know anything about my taste in like film, game, media, you know I was in from the word go. Not to mention, this film deals in some very heady work that's a matter of conjecture among both my friend group but also the world at large, especially nowadays with the turbulence surrounding the topic of AI, artificial intelligence. And that's the same thing that games like Detroit Become Human have attempted to tackle, or other films like Transcendence. And of course, my personal favorite, Blade Runner. Blade Runner is the obvious one. But hell, even throw Cyberpunk in there. All these properties tackle it. And that's the question of, can AI potentially develop and actually be a legitimate form of life? Plenty of arguments to be had, and this film definitely is not afraid to have those conversations, and it's very thought-provoking, and all the more reason why this film is as good as it is, and we'll get into it right now. I was unsure about the animation style at first. I do love 2D hand-drawn, and it's that mixture of 2D hand-drawn with some 3D renderings and animatics as well, to kind of give it a little bit of dimension. It very quickly grew on me. I love how the animation is used in this case to tell a very mature, dark, heavy crime science fiction thriller. It's the same reason why I love Love, Death, and Robots so much. Or really just, more mature animated films or short films or whatnot. It's a medium you can use to tell that story. The limitations around that story it's literally infinite possibilities, which means that you can have almost near 100% pure creative control over the process. Hence why we got that fever dream of a movie, Boy and the Heron, last year. Voiceovers are all great. Again, granted, I'm sure the French one is just as good. We saw the English one, but whether it was our main cast, other secondary protagonists, whether it was antagonists, whether it was robots, ancillary characters, some Joe Schmo who has one scene in a bar with somebody, everybody gives it their A game. It all sounded great, which is always a good thing, because there's some films I've seen recently that I'll be reviewing on my channel in the near future that are quite the opposite. For a film that's sub 2 hours, I love the character and the world building, how they handle storytelling in this film. I'm very much big on the whole show don't tell policy when it comes to films and filmmaking. I don't mind if there is exposition in the film, or scenes where characters have dialogue that overtly explains a topic, a character, a scene, something from the past. What I love is something like this, where clearly we're in the future, and as long as you're even a slight bit intuitive, there's a lot of future tech in this film, or just a lot of science fiction quality of life improvement, shall we say, or high concept science fiction ideas. And some of them they'll explain, the ones that might not be able to be picked up as easily as they're putting it down. But other ones are just, they're so naturally incorporated into the film and the characters' ways of life that they happen, even if it's just for a few seconds on screen, they happen, nobody addresses it, it simply is a matter of life for these people, and then you as the audience member can see that and immediately be like, oh, I see what that is for, what its intended purpose is, that makes sense, cool, pick it up, move along. The movie doesn't hold your hand. It's not a big old, mind fuck or anything. It's not going to take you for a crazy cerebral ride unless you're reeling after contemplating your existence and the thought of AI. The film just treats its audience with enough respect where it figures that you can put it together, basically. Through good direction, animation, and just acting, all the above, everything is communicated it's just clearly in the film, and the world is built up well. I picked up on the plot. I was never lost as to the brief glimpse into this universe's history that I got, or anything surrounding that. You know how I feel about, I think technically the film's not rated. I thought it was R, but I think it's technically not rated. But you know how I feel about violence in my films and TV, is that when it's done appropriately and well, I love it. It's not a hyper-violent film, but when the scene calls for violence, they don't shy away from somebody taking a bullet to the brain, getting their neck snapped, or getting hurt, pulled apart. I just appreciate how this film handles it all. And especially since you have it in animation, you can easily get across the violence on screen and make it as brutal as you deem necessary. Literally, the only note I had about this movie, I was so upset about this. This movie almost got a perfect score from me, but it literally comes down to preference. 95% of this film I loved. I didn't have a single problem with this film. It was great. It was perfect. I was loving it. I was in for the thrill, the mystery. I was on it. I was so interested. I was in this world. And then the ending, I will not tell you what happens at the end. I will not say if it's good, bad, if it's happy, sad, anything like that. The ending makes sense in the context of the film and how the narrative progressed. I personally did not like the ending. I know what they were going for. I completely grasp and understand what they were going for. Maybe upon a subsequent viewing, because I would love to watch it again, maybe if I sat and thought about it longer than I already have, I might feel differently about it. As it stands, Mars Express is a damn near perfect film. I love the journey that I went on, the animation, the acting, the story, the world they built around all of this. I would love to go back and see if this director has more going on, or if he's gonna keep making more in the future. I love that there's clear inspiration, obviously, from classic sci-fi, as well as contemporary media, but the ending it just didn't do it for me, and that sucks. I kind of hope that I come around to it at some point, like I did for Annihilation. As it stands right now, I do want to spread the gospel of Mars Express. Go see this in a theater if you can. Please, you know me, support animation, but also I wouldn't recommend this movie to you if it wasn't a good one. All things considered, Mars Express is a certified banger. Hard recommend. Rent it at the very least. If you're into any of what I just said, I promise you're gonna love this, and I hope more people hear about this movie, because I don't think enough people have heard about this movie. But I will stick my rating at a high 4 out of 5. A high 4 out of 5 for Mars Express. Almost perfect. I love everything about it, literally except for the ending. But again, that comes down to personal preference. You may watch this film and you may love the entire thing. You might say, MovieMan, what the hell are you talking about? The ending was great. It made so much sense. I loved what they did. I loved how it ended. Sure, you know what? More power to you. But I personally, at the moment, didn't love it. Anyway, that's all I gotta say about Mars Express. I've been rambling enough, using the same buzzwords over and over again, but very well might be in my top 10 for the year. We'll see. Thank you guys and gals so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode of whatever movie I review. And goodbye, travelers.